Hello everyone, welcome back to Chaosville. Here we are in Monroeville for Bedmon Incorporated, and this is episode 10. Now, so, few interesting things going on. I've already moved over, well, I've already attempted to move over our gold factory here, but I've shifted that over because I've got a couple death points around here, because they need a proper containment, really. Unless we have them on ludicrously high full damage, we need them to have a proper containment. This thing here, weird looking thing, is called a Wraith node. And they are damn expensive. But I have put together two of them, one here and one back at the outpost, and they link up with this thing, which is called the Wraith's Eye. It's another thing from Xeno's Reliquary, and it's sort of an upgraded version of the Salamander's Eye. Ostensibly, it's supposed to have all the same features, but I've yet to find out exactly how. It only seems to have the main feature that it has as an upgrade, which is if I right-click on a Wraith node, it will link itself to there, and then I can right-click from anywhere else, and it will use up an ender pearl and teleport me back. So, as an example... back in a moment. Yeah, works great if you're in an area like this, because it means that you can jump off the edge or get knocked off the edge or all sorts and survive. Doesn't work cross dimensions, which is why I've got one back at the outpost. Very handy as a safety mechanism now. Sort of our Bedmon Incorporated harness. And the other thing I put together is this, which I made before... I made last episode, but I didn't really get time to explain it. This is the Sojourner's Staff, and it basically functions like a torch storage device. It holds up to 513 torches, and you can just plonk them down as normal. Nice little particle effect. The main advantage, however, is you can also place them long distance. So, as an example, bam. The problem with that being that you then use up a bunch more torches as like fuel to do that. But there we go. And oh boy, I've got myself on tiny screen here. I can see what Remember Cam is seeing, and oh god, that is kind of laggy. But oh well. Anyways, what we're doing today is, as I said, the mobs are a bit dangerous. So we're going to be focusing on full damage and proper containment of the zombie pigmen. Almost everything else we can drop from a standard hide and kill them instantly, or crush them, or whatever. But the zombie pigmen we'd like to use for XP grinding. So hop in through my eyes again, and we shall have a look at what we're going to be doing today. So yes, we've got our nice little safety mechanism here now. I can make ender pearls out of the iron supply that we get. We have a fair backlog of this already. I've only got the one block of iron, but I can easily make more from these. And that allows us to have a fairly nice safety measure, which is nice. This is just a quick bridge I put together. Most of this is detailing rather than function. Well, I say rather than function, but just a quick little bridge. Works nicely. It's made of sandy stone, which is sort of the decorative equivalent of the coke oven bricks that go in. And up here we have what's going to be our first facility. This is the Resender Supply Depot. Wink wink, no charge. Which is going to house all of our different mob spawners and grind them appropriately. And if you see this rail, this is just acacia wood from the Living Dead build. This rail is going to serve as sort of how all of our different depots and stations and factories and such interact. And wow, that sun's gone down quickly. Yeah, timer's a bit funky on this place, so it's a bit kind of hard to tell what's going to happen. But yeah, basically, there'll be a train, or a locomotive rather, waiting along here. Everything will get plunked together and filled up, and then they'll get shot off down the line. I really like the idea of having a train go right past where everyone comes in there through the portal. And potentially getting run over, but also like potentially seeing it whiz past and be safe and fine. One thing I have noticed is that the lightning likes to strike things that are valuable to me. So, ooh. Oh dear. Yes, all robots in, all robots in. But yes, we can have like turrets or whatever kill the ghast, and we can drop the cows from a significant height or flambe them if we want to. But the zombie pigmen are useful as an XP grinding system, because we can. Just to explain this, it is from Xeno's Reliquary, and it automatically dispels blaze spells. Cures fire, stops blaze fireballs. There you go. But yes, where was I? Right. They're useful as an XP grinding system because they give off a fair bit of XP for each kill. They behave in packs, so you can hit one and they'll all charge to where you're hitting them. So they'll nicely deliver themselves to your wrath, as it were. And they have the same. They have some really fairly useful drops. Rotten flesh is one of the least useful, but they also have gold nuggets, which we have been using for most of our wealth. So they're handy as an actual thing to. Oh dear, poor GNR. Anyway, yeah, they're handy as an XP grinding thing, and they're handy as just a resource gathering thing for us. Because it means we don't have to worry too much about our vanilla resources. And I think the nuggets are also going to alchemy at some point. Glistering melon, I think is where they come into. So I've got the zombie pigman thing up here. I'm going to be moving it. Because there are some problems with how with how falling damage works, as I've noticed through dealing with all the various mob spawners I've put together and such. So, we'll be hopping into my test world in a moment, and I'm going to do my best to demonstrate the kind of things we're going to have to come up with solutions to, and I can see the sun. That's always weird. I love how the between the quartz crystals and the lava and such that's around here, that looks like it's illuminating the area it's peeking through. Screenshot. That'll be the thumbnail. But yeah, we'll hop over into my test world and we'll show off exactly what is going on weirdly and see if we can come up with a solution to it. And we shall do that now. Right. So, what we have here is two test setups and one overall arc of how this thing should probably end up working. Now, the way that falling damage is calculated, at least in vanilla Minecraft, is it is the number of blocks you fall minus 3. Now, players have 10 health, which is the exact same as a zombie pigman. I've installed damage indicator to show this off. So you can see he has 20 health. This is reduced to 10 symbols, which you can halve inside of the HUD, which is why you appear to have 10 hearts. It's actually 20 health. So logically then, we are now 23 blocks up from the ground, as we can see from this sign over here, which means you should take 20 damage and die instantaneously when you fall off. There's our friend. But that doesn't end up being the case, for reasons I'm not really entirely certain of. So let's just try and nudge him off. He takes 19 damage and survives. Which means that it's minus 4, but it gets a bit weirder than that. Because if I punch him, which should be a minimum of 1 damage, which means he should be dead right now, he's perfectly fine. If I punch him again, adds up to 1. It's like we're dealing. It seems that the base level of damage that a player can inflict in Feed the Beast has been decreased to 2.5, and falling damage has also been decreased. But that's also a mild problem. If I can just get to fly again. Reasons I don't really record in creative mode much. Well, we have these up here anyway. Oh, actually, I could just grab myself a jetpack, couldn't I? Yay for FTB. Tried those, they don't seem to work for some reason. Let's go with this one. Okay. So, over here we have one that is at 24 blocks. And if we do another test, from this high up, then we will see that they will actually die from this high up. Actually, let's do the CVA. Yeah, dead immediately, even if we only dealt half a heart of damage, well, like a quarter of a heart of damage. So that leaves us with a slight problem, which is that we basically cannot possibly reduce these mobs to being half a heart of damage, like a single punch away from death inside of Feed the Beast. We're always going to need some kind of tool, we're always going to have to hit them twice. So with that in mind, there's also a couple more things that we need to kind of cover. Which is... if I just bring it today... There we go. Wow, Hover mode is really buggy here, doesn't it? Or it could just be way high. I'm not sure which. Which is, if we go to the spawner, eventually, we will see some interesting behavior with how the mobs are spawned. Namely, some of them spawn in mid-air. This is a flat surface, it's level with the block. But some of them will spawn in mid-air, and some of them will spawn on the level surface. The actual distance and range you can have from the spawner is... yeah, please. Thank you. Is fairly inconsequential, but it means that we can't just have the spawner hanging in mid-air and expect them all to take the same amount of falling damage. Is that still spawning? I'm gonna say no. Anyways. It's me trying to get things to work. That means that some of them will take an extra block of falling damage, others will take less falling damage, others will take more, which is a bit of a problem for our purposes, simply because it means that we can't viciously control them if we just have the spawner hanging in its most easily accessible environment. And we have to pick these guys here, aren't we? Fortunately, pickaxes will do fairly decent damage. What I'm thinking is we'll either have a Falmium weapon with repair on it, or we'll have some kind of just cheap tool, like a stone tool or a wooden tool, just nearby all the time, which we can just grab when we need to harvest XP. But the way I've got this working now is I've got this basic setup. Now this isn't the final instance, the final like design, it's probably going to be subject to quite a bit of change, it's definitely not going to be made of iron blocks for the most part, because they're a bit ostentatious if I'm honest. But let's head up the top and I shall show you how this works. Here's the control to the spawner, which is of course soul shards. This is a wireless receiver, sorry. And that's receiving a signal from downstairs, but we'll probably just have like a big wire leading up to it. Which is a bit tidier and less prone to being intercepted by someone else. Whip. Going up. Now, inside of here, we have the spawner hanging from the hanging from the ceiling as we normally would, but we also have these water channels which lead the mobs over the edge. That means that the mobs all start at the same height, which means they should all take the same volume of damage, so some of them won't die instantaneously or others will live. And it also means we can control which sides that they appear on, which is kind of handy. Now from there, the mobs get washed down to here, where this would be... well, basically this is going to be a two-step kind of process. Down here, they will die instantaneously, where these wooden golems will all pick up all of the stuff that we want. And hello, you shouldn't be here. You're not authorized for this area, I'm afraid. So if I just drop some stuff, we can see them pick it up. Different golems for different pieces, so that they can focus on clearing things fast and cheaply. And then this secondary, which you can see here with the layer of tripwires, goes into what the next section is. Oop, hello. I'm afraid we don't serve you. Okay, so up there is effectively what we're going to be using to harvest XP from the mobs. So I've got this rising system here. I couldn't just raise them a single block because of that half a heart issue. So most of them kept dying even on the one less block of falling damage. So I had to create a system that allows me to, at requirement, raise and lower the floor 2 blocks. Which also has the side effect of removing our golems from the firing line of wherever I'm hitting things, which is handy, to say the least. You may wonder then, why I have this layer of tripwires. And that is a fairly simple thing. Does this? Nope, this is actually run out. Jeez, well, that was fast. I was wondering why I couldn't fly. Okay, so if we set this to XP grind, and if we turn on the spawner, we should see them falling down fairly quickly. Most of them should fall down on the two sides that are accessible from the XP grinding layer. Yeah, we can see they're all taking 18, 19 kind of damage. Again, it's inconsistent. I don't know what change has been made to falling damage and such in the course of vanilla to FTB, but something is off here. And one more. That'll do. Okay, so they're all walking around and they're hitting the tripwires. And once again, it's getting dark. Jeez, I am really slow at explaining things, aren't I? They're all walking around and hitting the tripwires, which is triggering this light to turn off. This light is connected to a state cell behind here, which I can just show, which is keeping a pulse on as long as it's been less than 3 seconds since a signal was received from the tripwires. That means that we can prevent the system's various things from happening in the event that there are still mobs here. So, one thing I did discover in testing is that if you have mobs here in XP grinding mode and you try to shift back to harvesting mode, with the way that frames work, they spill out in every direction, and given that zombie pigmen usually pack a punch in vanilla and work in packs, that's not a good thing. That is in fact extremely dangerous. So, building in a safeguard so that you can't actually potentially unleash hell, literally, is kind of a helpful thing. But from up here, one great advantage of using zombie pigmen for XP grinding is that they all run at you as soon as you start. There isn't any other mob that does that yet. With the exception of zombies in the more recent versions. Left. Now, of course, the drops and indeed the XP orbs are going to also trigger the tripwires, but that's not too big of an issue altogether. And we'd probably have like a whole floor dedicated to this, so this side doesn't actually need to be hooked up to redstone, so you can just walk around the other side and XP orbs will naturally move towards you. And we can pick them up from over here. And I will stand next to this brain in a jar, so we can just lose that from around us. Okay, now we can already see that our wooden golems there are already lined up to receive any drops that are there. We can't actually go into there and pick them up ourselves. And indeed, this design is intended so that you can never go in directly into the line of attack for these zombie pigmen. But there we have it. They're all running around to try and pick up the items. They're being a bit derpy for once, which is kind of unusual for them, because they usually work quite nicely. I might do away with the half slabs, just to try and fix the damage that extra little bit more, because I think it might be causing issues in the calculations of falling damage. And, what's he looking for? I can't really make out what he's looking for. He may just be stuck from pathing. But, this is basically the way that I think the spawner is going to, the zombie pigman grinder at the very least, is going to end up looking inside of Monroeville. So we shall hop back into the multiplayer on Chaosville, and we shall see about getting some things started on getting it working. So, back in a quick moment. Whoop, and there's some lightning. Well, yeah, so that's the main issue. There's a slight, I think it's a bug, as far as falling damage is calculated. I don't specifically know, it seems to be acting weird. And there's also that slight bug with how player fist damage is dealt. I don't know what's causing that specifically. But so far this is what I've got set up with regards to the aesthetics, the less functional elements, more or less. I kind of like this. I kind of think it could be better. I'm not sure. And I kind of definitely want to get rid of this mossy cobblestone around the edges, because it just, for want of a better term, it's too overpowering a look. And I don't know, could be a lot better. But the acacia wood and the stone bricks and the acacia logs that are under here look perfect, I would say. It looks very nice, very fitting for the area. But I kind of want to make this look like a sort of drab and dreary industrial kind of area, because that's basically what it is. It's supposed to be a dominantly unmanned kind of factory, which is just creating resources, harvesting them, and manufacturing whatever it needs and such, and just handled autonomously. So that I can be way, way away, and if I want, I can just send a train or something along to stick an ender pearl into a chunk loader or something, and this place will stay loaded long enough to do some kind of meaningful work, and then turn off. Because that's one thing I definitely want to do, is have some kind of ender pearl rail line, so I can control which areas are loaded when they should and shouldn't be. To save things on the server, basically. Put together a rolling machine, because I made some of our old friend, if I can remember where I put it, there it is, block of concrete. Which has a nice kind of industrial look to it. It's plain, it's grey, but look at it, it's actually fairly resilient and could be of a significant use. But we are getting actually a little close to the end of the episode here, so we'll have a look into how to make this thing stylized. I may set up a few kind of test locations, and we can then use things like the Wand of Equal Trade, or the Wand of Interior Design, as I think I called it, to switch between them and see how they look next time. So this has been episode 10. I hope you liked it. If you did, leave a like underneath. It does help me out a lot more than you might think. And if you enjoyed the content, leave a comment. For the love of God, don't mention the lag, because I'm already very aware of it. It's like I don't film these completely unaware of the lag, so please, you don't need to talk about it. I know about it. If you don't like it that much, then by all means donate, because that's the only way it's going to get fixed anytime soon, at the very least. But as at least one of you may notice, oh dear, that's a painful thing to use. Yeah, I have named this after one of my subscribers, Resender, who does his in his Survival in the End series. I'm also doing something else in my test build for him, but that's another story. So if you do donate, I will certainly see about getting some place named in your honor around here. This is just the first one, because Resender has been a long time supporter of me, so he gets the first place. So anyways, I'm blabbering quite a bit now, aren't I? I will catch you all next time, when we will be back at the Night of the Living Dead build. So I shall see you next time. Catch you later, guys.